I'm kind of a believer that our we're just a kind of a bag of chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to kind of hack your mindset, you know, and part of that is, I will listen to positive music to kind of change my
Mm-hmm.
mindset. I have a bunch of like bands that just play kind of fun dance music, so I'll I'll turn that on to literally change my emotion. Um,
Yeah.
and then I'll focus on, well, what is going well. And it's kind of a practice. And it doesn't fix everything or like change the world or, make me into some sort of, you know, operational beast. It's more just, it's almost like taking a vitamin, you know, it's something that you do every day that will keep you healthy and keep you going.
Welcome to the Gratitude Podcast on www.georgianbenta.com, where you'll hear a new story each week that will inspire more gratitude in your own life. Our mission is to inspire 100,000 people to discover how to feel gratitude and live a happy life through the amazing life stories of our successful guests and their actionable tips. And now, the host of our podcast, Georgian Benta.
Hi, Gratitude Seeker. Welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today with us, we have Carson. He is the CEO and founder of Treehouse, an online technology school that takes people from zero experience to job ready in as little as 6 months. He is also a father, an entrepreneur, and a lover of movies. But we will find out more about who he is as a human being rather than the fearless leader that we all know him to be in this interview, and I'm hoping that we will get to some beautiful parts of who Ryan is and what he appreciates in his life. Ryan, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
It's great to be on the show. Thanks for inviting me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So let us know a little bit more about what you're working on right now. I know that you've embarked in a really big and audacious project, and I'm really curious what you're up to.
You bet. So I've been leading Treehouse for a decade now, and we've taught 850,000 adults how to be software engineers. And we are now launching a movement called Project Unlock the American Dream. And our goal is to empower 100,000 people from diverse backgrounds to become software engineering apprentices all across America, which will triple people's income, often from 21K to 62K in less than a year. It will empower families to get medical, dental, and vision insurance for them and their kids. And after we train them on financial literacy, they'll begin saving into a 401k. And over time, we believe this program will create $190 billion of generational wealth for hardworking families. And this is all with $0 of student debt. So we're really passionate about it. We've transitioned to focus heavily on apprenticeships and empowering people to get jobs through apprenticeships. And it's just been really exciting to see the growth of that program. And I'm so thankful to be working on it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I was actually listening today to a big football player from Romania. I don't know if you know that about me, but I'm Romanian.
Yes.
And he's like the biggest player that we ever had.
Wow,
Most
really?
people know about him, and he's retired now. And he said something really interesting. He loves the country so much that he wants to create a unified vision for where football should be taken in the country, like the media and all of the powers in the state and everything, to go towards that goal. And people call him the king.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I was thinking about what it actually means to be a king. It means thinking about people on a large scale and doing things for them. And it comes from a big heart, from love and from generosity, basically, and
Mm,
having a vision for people. And I just thought that that was really interesting, since I actually got um, to to listen to his vision and also to yours. And
I love
I
that.
think that there is a beautiful connection there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be doing this work, and I'm just glad we're able to do it. So really, really excited for the future.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So getting back a little bit to gratitude, you're a really busy man. Many people depend on you one way or another. How do you find time to practice gratitude, and what does it mean to you in your life?
Yes, practicing gratitude is so important, and I do it all the time. And the way that happens for me is I just try to pause, usually when something's not going right, and just say, what am I thankful for? What is going well? What are all the great things in my life? Um, and I just start going through them mentally. And I'll kind of reel off the list. I'm so thankful for my wife. We're happily married. We've been married for a long time. We're both healthy, and I'm fortunate to have two kids, and they're both healthy. And I'm fortunate to make enough money to buy groceries and pay for a house. And just kind of realizing there's so many things about my life that are great, and just kind of taking a minute to think about that. So I think practicing gratitude is a very, very important part of being happy.
Yeah, definitely. It's been my experience as well, and many others that are listening and also that have been on the podcast. And I think you reached a really interesting point, that you um, use gratitude like as a tool whenever things like bad things might be happening. And I think that's so powerful, because it it can really help us gain perspective, right? Like when something bad happens, we find a way to be resourceful enough to face it. And I think with you it's like an everyday or even every hour, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's so important. I think the thing I'd love to tell the audience is that it's easy to think, excuse me, that um, people are always winning. You see social media and you see news announcements, and you hear what people have to say, and it just sounds like everybody is always doing great, and that their ideas are always successful. And the truth is, most of what we're all doing doesn't work.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of ideas that don't happen, and but people don't talk about that, because it's hard to talk about. And I just want to encourage people that um, there's been a lot of ups and downs in my life, and a lot of decisions that didn't work, and a lot of deals that didn't close, and a lot of people that said no. In fact, I probably get 8 no's for every yes.
Wow.
I mean, there's just that's a reality of life. And so I think practicing gratitude is a key part to not quitting, um, because sometimes you just want to quit because it feels like you just can't get a win. You can't
Yeah.
make it happen, and that's actually normal. And I don't want people to think that you just win all the time. It's actually the opposite. You lose most of the time, and you win sometimes. That's the reality of life.
Yeah, that's a really powerful perspective coming from a successful person that leads so many people and is doing so many amazing things. It really brings perspective on our life and on the fact that on a different scale we're dealing basically with the very similar things. And another thing that I loved about what you just said, actually what you said before, is that when you were thinking about gratitude, you were thinking about um, the same kind of things that we can all be grateful for, like the fact that we have people in our life that we love and that love us, the fact that we have like the basic necessities of life, and it really doesn't take more for us to get into that feeling of gratitude, isn't it?
Yes. Yep. It's just a quick practice, and maybe even set a reminder every day to think about it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And another thing that I thought was very interesting, I'm not sure how many of our listeners are entrepreneurs, but I think it can be, all people can relate with this, the fact that you lose more than you win, basically. And you try different things. Of course, you also need courage to try different new things and different
Mm,
things. But when you do, many times you fail, and like you just said, gratitude is very helpful in those kinds of situations.
mm.
um I'm just curious, when did you start doing this? Like, was this a habit that you had when you were a child? Like, did your parents teach
Yeah.
you this? Oh.
It's a good question. I was definitely raised to be grateful, and to be thankful. So, my parents kind of drilled it into me early. Hey, say thank you. you know, just realize that people are helping you and acknowledge that. Partly for selfish reasons, they said, people aren't going to want to help you anymore unless you thank them. So make sure to do that. Um, and then I think over time, I was just really aware that I was really fortunate.
Mhm.
I could kind of see it, that, gosh, that I have so many advantages in life. I was born in a location where there was no war, where
Yeah.
there was no uh, strife, where my parents, could afford a house and I was safe, and I could eat enough. I was just really aware of all that. And I don't know why. It must have been because of my parents' influence. Um, I'm a big believer in, nurture versus nature.
Mm.
And so I think they just pointed out. And I also grew up in a fairly religious environment. I grew up as kind of a Christian, and I think it was drilled into me that, this Jesus character from the Bible, he was humble, and he was thankful, and he was kind, and there's a lot of traits that my parents, kind of taught me through that. So I got a lot of it from that. And then I think as I grew up and started succeeding in business, I just realized, gosh, not everybody gets to do this. Not everybody gets to get a job in tech and work on things they care about. So I just started to realize that, and then as we started to do bigger and bigger things at Treehouse, and now, with launching Project Unlock the American Dream as a movement inside Treehouse, I just am ready for the fact it's going to be really hard. Um,
Mm.
and the only way to make it through is to be grateful and to count my blessings, because um, it's just too hard, and I'll end up quitting,
Yeah.
because like I said, 8 out of 10 people are going to say no. So I think that's kind of where all that came from.
That's so true. That's so true. And indeed, I think there's a statistic. Maybe you're more aware of this, and you can correct me. I think like 1 in 10 businesses actually make it through their fifth year or something, right?
Mm. It's some super small number,
Yeah.
it's and yeah, most businesses fail. And I think it's just because you have to have the right idea at the right time, and you have to not quit, and you have to have enough resources. It's very hard. So the only way to give yourself a chance of succeeding is to focus on the positive.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think being a CEO and leading people like you are leading is actually a very vulnerable place to be. Like, um, people might be leaving, things can change like on a bigger scale, and they might influence you. Things can happen on a really small scale with the people in the company. And I think this is so. Let me know if I'm on the right track. This is a great opportunity to feel grateful, because many times we get to feel grateful when we get to be vulnerable somehow, when we need help. Basically, you have an idea, you have a vision, and you need help. You need people to be able to make it a reality, right?
Yeah, you need a ton of help. It's absolutely not done on your own.
Yeah.
So 100% agree with that. I think a lot of what I've realized is that I need as much help as I can get, from coaches or mentors or friends or, contacts. It, a lot of success really is kind of being helpful to people and then them helping you back. That's a real key part of this whole equation.
That's so interesting, because it's like we have a tendency to fear asking for help, because
Mm,
we feel that it makes us weak. But like you said, like it makes so much sense. Without helping other people and letting other people help you, you stand no chance in actually making it happen.
no, no, it's there's no way anybody does it alone, and if they say they do, they're lying. So that's the truth.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So what I also wanted to ask you is, if you somehow remember your first experience with gratitude, like actual, it's like your
Mm,
own experience, not your parents telling you to say thank you or to be grateful, but actually feeling grateful, like really heart feeling grateful
mm.
for the first time.
Um, I can remember a recent example. So it wasn't the first time, but it was powerful to me. And I was running the other morning, and I try to keep in shape by running and doing pull-ups and kind of body weight type exercises. And I was running through my neighborhood, and it was dark. It was very early in the morning. It was probably 5:30, and I had a headlamp on, so I wouldn't trip. Um, and as I was running, I kind of started to go down a negative, rabbit hole. And I was thinking, gosh, there's all these things I got to do that haven't happened yet, and we still need to figure this out, and that's not working. And what about this thing? And I kind of was able to stop myself and say, wait a minute. Um, why don't I just flip this and start thinking about all the things that are going right?
Mm,
Um, and actively kind of focus on that. And so I just started running through my mind, hey, these are all the things that are working. Gosh, we placed 5 apprentices in year 1 in the pilot, and we're placing 20 times that this year. Wow, we start off in 1 city and we're now in 9 cities across America. We are getting companies like Verizon to say yes, and
wow.
Niantic, the makers of Pokemon Go, and Nike, and just it's amazing. So I started thinking this is working, um, and actually it's working really well. And not only that, we are literally tripling people's incomes, with no student debt. Um, this is transformational, and just started like going down that rabbit hole of the good rabbit hole, and saying there's a lot about this that is working. And that kind of ended the run and in a better spot. And I realized I just have to keep doing that, because every day it's like you forget, or
Yeah.
you get ground down. So every day, if you remind yourself, you're like, actually, there's a lot of things that are going well. um, and I'm kind of a believer that our we're just a kind of a bag of chemicals,
Hmm.
and you need to kind of hack your mindset, you know, and part of that is, I will listen to positive music to kind of change my
Hmm.
mindset. I have a bunch of like bands that just play kind of fun dance music. So I'll turn that on to literally change my emotion.
Yeah.
And then I'll focus on, well, what is going well. And it's kind of a practice. And it doesn't fix everything or like change the world or, make me into some sort of, operational beast. It's more just, it's almost like taking a vitamin, you know, it's something that you do every day that will keep you healthy and keep you going.
Precisely, and it's actually taking you on on a very different path. Basically, when you're focused on you get empowered. You know that you're doing something already, and it works, and you feel that motivation to continue and to do stuff, and you want to do it. It's not something like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. And I think that especially being a leader, that makes it makes a big difference. But uh going into that direction a little bit, um do you have like a story from your clients at Treehouse or from this new project um that you would like to share with us and that brought you a lot of gratitude?
Hmm. Yes. So as soon as we started adding apprenticeship into what we do at Treehouse, we teach people online. We've been doing that for a decade, and we started a program called the Tech Degree, which is the world's best online boot camp, and it takes anybody from zero to job ready as a software engineer. It's all online, so we've been doing that, and we're very successful at that. And so we started adding apprenticeship on top. And the way it works is we recruit talent from a local community-based organization. If you're in America, you will have heard of an organization called the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And they serve communities that are often lower income and don't have the opportunity that somebody like me does. And so they recruit talent from that community, and then we unlock a scholarship to our tech degree, and then we wrap it with extra support, broadband, laptop, mentorship, accountability, financial literacy training, 21st century workplace skills, and then we place those individuals in a real job as a software engineer. And the whole thing is $0 to the students. They work very, very, very hard, but they don't incur student debt. So we started doing that, and then placing apprentices in companies like MailChimp in Atlanta, or Verizon, in Dallas, or, Adobe in San Francisco. And a moment of gratitude that I will never forget is we were in Atlanta and we were talking to the group of apprentices that were going to be placed at MailChimp. And we were explaining one of the benefits of the program was healthcare. In America, I'm sure, as you know, there's a major problem with healthcare.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have access to it. A lot of people can't afford it. And so we said, when you get placed as a software engineer apprentice at MailChimp, they will cover your medical, dental, and vision insurance. And that's something I've always had. I've always had healthcare. I've always been able to go to the doctor. I've never been worried about that. But that's because, I'm privileged and I've never had to worry about that. And so I hadn't thought a lot about the value of that. And so we said that, and a woman came up to me afterwards, and she said, I don't know if you understand what that means, but I am able to take my kids to the doctor now. And I've never been able to do that.
Wow.
And I think, I have kids, and I just thought, oh my God, like I can't imagine one of my kiddos being sick and not being able to afford taking them to the doctor, and how terrible that would be as a parent. And she said, thank you. Thank you for doing this, and it's not like she needed a handout or she needed charity. She just needed a ladder to climb. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that made me, see her gratitude, and then therefore be grateful that I could work on this and be a part of this. It just was so powerful to be able to give life. So that was amazing, and I'm grateful, that I get to do this job every day. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's something so simple that you might not even consider, but it really makes a huge difference in someone's life.
Yep.
That's quite amazing. And I totally love what you're doing because it's in tune with one of my values. Like I don't believe in helping people, like just giving people fish. I would much
No,
rather have them learn how to get the fish on their own,
exactly. Yep. That's exactly it.
and that's so powerful, and that leads to, like you were saying, like in generations uh, they will get to benefit from this much rather than a simple uh, I don't know, $5 or something that you
Yeah.
can.
People don't need a handout. They don't need charity, right? They just need a ladder to climb. Um, and like you said, you're giving them a ladder so they can climb up and, and get access. So they don't want money handed down to them. They want to get up the ladder. So we're actually changing our logo at Treehouse to be a ladder,
Mm,
because we're building a ladder to jobs in tech. Um, and there's so many communities, across America that just don't have a ladder. They would run up it if they could, but there just isn't one. So that's what we're doing.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And when it comes to thinking about the people that are helping you do this and build this vision, um, could you mention a few people that you're grateful for, that are there every day grinding with you and doing
Yeah.
their best?
Gosh, yeah, there's so many. I have a really wonderful leadership team that helps me lead Treehouse. I have people like Jaden, who's leading our sales team, Bo, who's leading our marketing team, Colleen, who's leading our Treehouse apprenticeship team, Tyler, who's leading our finance team, Noel, who's leading HR, Dave, who's leading engineering and learning. These are all amazing people that really do all the work. I'm out there trying to innovate and kind of break down, new walls, but they're the ones that are actually, delivering the education, the recruitment, the placement, the support, to actually empower people to change their lives. So I'm thankful for them every day. Um, and I'm thankful for people like my mom. My mom has always loved me and always supported me, always been my biggest fan. My dad, who taught me everything I know about sales, and always told me he believed in me. you know um, that's another thing I'm grateful for. Gosh, I know a lot of people whose parents tore them down,
Mm,
um, who actually discouraged them or worse, and I didn't have any of that. Every day I had parents hug me and kiss me and say, "You can do it," you know, and I that is worth more than I can possibly explain.
yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. So I'm thankful for my sisters. I have three wonderful sisters. We grew up often kind of hating each other when we were young. I mean, I remember one time I think I stabbed my sister with a pencil in the leg, and then
Oh my God.
she like pushed me into a glass table and I cut my eye. I mean,
Oh.
we hated each other when we were little, but we became friends as we got older. And like my mom, I remember her saying, you have to stop being mean to each other, because the only people you have in life is your family.
Mm,
Everybody else is going to come and go, everybody, but the only people that stay connected to you are your family. So don't screw up these relationships. Like and I thought, man, she's right. I'm always going to have sisters no matter what, and so why don't I actually become friends with them?
yeah.
And so we became friends, and we started off, we did these phone calls, sort of like a conference call, and we would call every 2 weeks, and we would all get in the call and say, what was happening in our lives, and we would, kind of keep in touch. But sometimes, you'd miss the call or someone couldn't make the call, and so we switched to actually use an app called Marco Polo. And Marco Polo is, and I'm not being paid to say this or anything, it's just a simple video message app. So you kind of pick a group and you leave a video message, almost like a voicemail. And so we created a group and we just leave little, video messages for each other. And it's really kept us strongly connected. And I'm grateful for them, because they support me and they're kind and loving. And we actually, have become so close that we actually get together every year in person. So we all fly, to one location without kids or partners, just us, and we hang out for a weekend. And it's really fun because, it keeps us connected and keeps us friends. And so I'm grateful for my sisters. There's so much that I have to be grateful for. I hope to never stop being thankful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And what are some things that you appreciate in life? Like maybe some of the people from Treehouse are listening, and they might be curious about what things you appreciate and what things you like about life.
Yeah. I love cake. So, honestly, my wife makes this amazing thing called a Battenberg cake, and so I've some things are very simple. I just appreciate a homemade cake. I appreciate, being able to wake up and exercise, and be able to move, and not be sick. And there's a lot of really simple things that I'm grateful for and I appreciate. But things that I love, I love movies. I'm actually an introvert. So to recharge, I kind of have to be by myself, and not thinking about work. So the only way I can really do that is watch movies.
What kind of movies?
I really watch a lot of type of movies. Everything from just like an action thriller like John Wick, all the way to kind of an emotional, moving film like Forrest Gump, or something fun like Downton Abbey. So my interests are really broad. The only thing I can't stand are horror films. I don't watch any horror.
That's good. Good for the subconscious.
It's like there's too much about life that's terrible. I don't need to go watch a film about fake terrible things, right? Yeah. So I don't watch that. I also don't like kind of dark indie films. I'm really just into being entertained and kind of moved in a positive way. Or just be mindlessly entertained, by like a Marvel film, right?
Yeah, so, I love those too.
Yeah, and I love candy and I love popcorn too. So I just, go to a cinema and buy a bunch of candy and popcorn and just enjoy myself.
Awesome. So thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing so many amazing stories and amazing ideas that I'm sure will and are already inspiring our listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Gratitude Seeker, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this interview. I really appreciate it. And if you could think of one person that would also benefit from it, share it with them. It might actually be the inspiration that they need to make their day or maybe even their life much better. Thank you so much once again. This has been Georgian Benta. Don't forget to keep seeking and spreading gratitude.